Hello, Stephen. I don't usually call you by your name. That felt weird. Hello, friend? Okay, so be excited. This is the first post of our video blog. Yes, you and I have made a blog before, and yes, we have made videos before of us together, but we have never made a video blog before, and we have never made videos separately as if we were talking to each other, so this is going to be a different medium for us in every way. Also, typically when we have made blogs in the past, you and I have made some sort of introductory post to explain what we were doing, but I'm not going to do that today. I'm actually going to start off with a post talking about content. Okay, so I was browsing YouTube a couple of weeks ago, and I came across something called the Pixar Theory. Obviously, if I was on YouTube when I found this video, then a video on this site already exists explaining the Pixar Theory, but if I had directed you to that video, you would have noticed that it is over 10 minutes long, so I wanted to make a shorter version of the video to better accommodate both yours and my short attention span. And also I wanted to incorporate actual clips from the movie in my version of this video because I thought that would be more fun for me to edit. But to give credit where credit is due, that video that I'm talking about that I originally found on YouTube was made by the Carlin brothers, and there are numerous other videos made about the Pixar Theory on YouTube, but that one in particular was what inspired this. And the Pixar Theory itself was developed by a man named John Negroni. So what is the Pixar Theory? The Pixar Theory is a theory that hypothesizes that all Disney Pixar movies are interrelated and actually part of one big cohesive storyline, and that they all in fact take place on Earth just at different points in time. So in talking about the Pixar Theory today, we are going to talk about it chronologically, and we are going to focus on two main themes, which are animals coming to life and inanimate objects coming to life and acting like humans. If we are going chronologically, we are going to start with the movie Brave, and I don't actually know if you've seen this movie, but all you really need to know about Brave is that it involves a princess who does not like the roles pushed upon her, so she gets a witch to cast a spell on her mother. Craziness ensues. They all love each other in the end. Okay, so what are the main points we get from this movie? The Pixar Theory uses Brave as the starting point from which animals are turned into more advanced beings that we see throughout the movies. So who uses magic in Brave? The witch. The witch is the one who turns humans into animals, and in fact, we also see inanimate objects come to life in her workshop. Now that the first spells have been cast, fast forward several centuries later, and that's when our next movies take place, and we see that animals have developed much further than what we saw in Brave. The three animal movies we are going to be focusing on are Ratatouille, Finding Nemo, and Up. The timeline's not crucial on these, but they all take place in the 20th, 21st century, sometime around there. So in Ratatouille, we see the main character, Remy, who is a rat who can both talk and emulates humans by cooking like them. Then in Finding Nemo, once again, we see animals who can talk. It's also part of the Pixar Theory that the two different levels of intelligence we see in Dory and Marlin is actually a juxtaposition of two different stages in development and evolution. You can make the argument that Dory can read, while Marlin cannot, and Dory can communicate with whales, which makes her bilingual. And then in the final movie, Up, we don't really see animals talking, but we see them given the ability to talk by the collars that are attached by the villain. Okay, so inanimate objects, we are going to begin with The Incredibles. In that movie, we see the first artificially intelligent machine created by the villain Syndrome. We not only see the first AI machine created in that movie, we also see the machines turn on humans for the first time in that movie. So we're going to come back to that machine in just a second, but the other thing we need to get from The Incredibles is that we also see 0-point energy used for the first time. And that energy is what's used by the Pixar Theory to explain why toys come to life several decades later in the Toy Story movies. In the Toy Story movies, we see toys come to life allegedly because of the 0-point energy created by Syndrome, and we see once again machines or toys turning against humans. So we know that Up takes place several decades after Toy Story 3 because we see a postcard in Toy Story 3 that links the two movies, and then WALL-E obviously takes place centuries after Up. WALL-E gives us a glimpse of the future that shows us that in fact machines did eventually win the war between humans and machines. It's never explained in the movies exactly, but it is explained using the Pixar Theory as to how we got to the point that we are at WALL-E. After Syndrome created the artificial intelligence machines and they had built up resentment toward humans, they went on to create a faceless corporation that they would eventually use to take over the world. That corporation is BNL. BNL we see throughout 3 Pixar movies. We see it in Toy Story 3 because they are making batteries for the Buzz Lightyear toy. We also see it in Up. You will notice that one of the construction vehicles outside of Walt's house at the beginning of the movie actually bears the BNL logo, so they are the corporation responsible for tearing down his house. Lastly, BNL is featured very prominently in WALL-E because they are the corporation that is managing the space station and is also in charge of cleaning up Earth. So how did BNL take over the world? BNL was created by the machines in order to obliterate humans, and somewhere between Up and Cars, humans were completely removed from the picture. So in Cars, we see that there are no humans left whatsoever on Earth. It is a world completely run by machines. But at the end of WALL-E, we see humans return to Earth, plant a tree, and we are given a little bit of hope for the future of mankind. I know what you're probably thinking. Why have I not discussed A Bug's Life yet? Well, the Pixar Theory thinks that A Bug's Life actually takes place after WALL-E in the sequence of movies. The reasoning is that the plant at the end of WALL-E planted is very similar looking to the mother tree in A Bug's Life. Not only that, but the bugs in A Bug's Life are in fact more advanced than the animals we saw in the earlier movies like Ratatouille and Finding Nemo, because these are not only talking bugs, but they are in fact behaving like humans because they have cities and events like circuses that humans have. I think it's a much easier explanation to say that A Bug's Life takes place in the same time period as Finding Nemo and Ratatouille, and that bugs just developed at a different rate because they are a different size than the other animals. So after A Bug's Life, there's only one movie franchise we have not discussed yet, and that is Monsters, Inc. and Monsters University University. So when you watch those movies initially, you come to believe that this takes place in a completely alternate universe, in a completely different world, because monsters exist in their dimension and humans exist in theirs, and in the movies we see monsters travel from the monster world to the human world. That is not what the Pixar theory thinks, because as I said earlier, this theory revolves around the fact that everything takes place on Earth. So they think that Monsters, Inc. takes place far, far, far in the future, and they actually say that since Monsters University was established in 1311 or something like that, that is a reference to the monster calendar, which began at 0. So that means that Monsters University and Monsters, Inc. takes place several millennia in the future. And the monsters, in fact, are not traveling interdimensionally when they cross through the doors. Pixar theory thinks that those doors are, in fact, time machines in which monsters travel back in time to when humans were on Earth. At this point, the theory is pretty interesting, pretty cool, but I have not talked about the part yet which makes the entire theory blow my mind, and that is the fact that the theory not only connects all the Pixar movies, but makes it all cyclical. Meaning the last movies, the monster movies, are connected to the first movie, Brave. So how could those possibly be connected? Well, the answer is the character Boo. Boo is the little girl that travels from the human world to the monster world, and then at the end of the movie she travels back to the human world. So what happens to that little girl after she knew that monsters existed, and she knew the key to finding those monsters was going through her closet door? Well, the Pixar theory thinks that she searched her entire life in order to find another portal back to the monster world, and in doing so came across magic. Basically, Boo finds magic, Boo creates doors that allow her to travel between time periods, Boo travels back in time to find another source of magic, which means in the stories, not only is Boo in the Monsters, Inc. movie, Boo is also in Brave movie, because Boo is in fact the witch in Brave. There are actually several little trinkets in Brave that make this possible. In the Witch's Workshop, first of all, we see indeed an etching of Sully on the wall. Not only that, we see one of the carvings on her workbench is a Pizza Planet truck, which is undeniably from the future, so how would she know that if she did not have the ability to time travel? Those two pieces of evidence, also combined with the fact that she is oddly obsessed with bears and has a thing for walking through doors, disappearing, and using doors as magic portals in the movie anyway, points to the fact that Boo is in fact the witch from the movie Brave. So that's the Pixar theory. I know it's not true in the sense that when these screenplays were being written, the authors had it in the back of their minds that this was all going to be part of one central timeline, but I do think it's cool that all these trinkets exist throughout the movies that do in fact make a theory like this possible. I thought it was cool. Okay, so now that I've done my first post, that means it is your turn to do your first post. And I hope you do, because if you don't, there will just be this one video of me and it will be kind of awkward on our channel. Okay.